What's up? I hope all is well. Um, Having a little chaos with YouTube Live right now, but I think we're good now. Um, Let me try to fix it really quick. Wow, I don't want people to go into the other live. Let's see if it lets me do it. Hopefully, it lets me delete this. And I don't think it is. Bear with me, y'all. I got all my screens up. I got mad devices. Let me know how y'all feeling in the comments as I figure my life out really quick. This always happens to me. Always. And I know y'all be like, girl, get it together. I'd be trying. Okay, let's see if this works on this side. So what I did was I tried to use my iPad instead, so that way I could use my phone for Instagram, because my iPad, for some reason, when I go live on it on Instagram, it like never works. Like it always has something wrong. So I'm like, okay, let me try to do a okey doke and switch and use one for the other. And it still didn't work. So we'll see if it works for Instagram today. And it looks like it is. Yeah, looks like it is. Okay, so we got IG up and running. That's good for today. And then we will get, I was trying to delete the old YouTube one so people don't go into the wrong one, but it's not letting me delete it. So hopefully everybody knows to come on this side. And if you're joining, make sure to like the live, so that way it shows up in everybody's feed. I'm excited about our topic today. You guys voted unanimously on YouTube for discussing managing life transitions. So that's our topic for tonight. I have 8 affirmations, and then I have 4 points to make in regards to managing transitions that I hope is helpful. Definitely let me know where you're watching. Let me know how you're feeling today. I know it's been a crazy couple of weeks, so 100% talk back to me in the comments, both IG and YouTube. I appreciate everyone joining. Hey, Hiru, welcome in. Hi, Keaton. Hi, Scott from Scotland. Awesome. Thank you for watching. If this is your first time, my name is Debbie. And then on Instagram, Skinny Greg Jamaica. Welcome in. My name is Debbie. I'm a certified mindfulness coach. This channel is all things mindfulness. So we talk about different topics in regards to mental health every Monday. And then throughout the week, I post mindful meditations. Hi, Tyler. Welcome in. I post mindful meditations as well. So that's what this channel is all about. We did a poll on what we wanted to talk about today, and everyone voted on mindful life transitions. So that's going to be the topic. Again, I have 8 affirmations today, and we'll go through 4 points on managing life transitions. Hello, Naveen. Welcome in. And Monique, welcome in from Florida. Thank you. Hi, Helen. Welcome in. Thank you all for joining. So let's go ahead and dive in, y'all. I appreciate everyone joining in. If you haven't liked the live, please do so. Hit the like button. If you haven't subscribed yet, why not? Okay. I'm a big deal. All right. Go ahead and subscribe. And I hope this conversation is helpful today. Okay, so managing mindful transitions. What is a transition, right? So it's any part in life where we're in the in between, right? There's a little bit of uncertainty, there's a little bit of redirection, there's some changes that are happening in life that we're having a hard time grasping our minds around. That's what a life transition is. A mindful life transition is allowing ourselves to practice mindfulness and awareness as we're going through that transition to make the transition smoother, to make I don't like to say transition easier because let's be real, life transitions are not easy, right? Especially if it's a transition that's happening that you have been a certain way or in a certain space for a long period of time, and that all of a sudden shifts or changes, that's definitely not easy. So I hate saying easy, but making it smoother, making it a little less difficult, making it manageable, making it uh, a fruitful experience versus it being a dreadful experience. That's what mindful transitions are. So, just to give a little tidbit on that. So, I have 4 points on managing a mindful transition. If you see me looking away from the camera, it's because I have my notes here. So, bear with me as I go back and forth. But point number 1 is practicing acceptance. Okay, so understanding that the quicker that you're able to process the situation and bring yourself to acceptance, the better your transition will be. A lot of times we have difficulty transitioning because we are meeting the transition with a whole lot of resistance, a whole lot of pushback, and we're making it harder on ourselves. If in that, if we are able to take the time to process what we're feeling, because we don't want to dismiss or ignore the feelings, right, or emotions, but allowing ourselves to come to a place of acceptance. So thinking about what these transitions or what is making the transition hard. A lot of times when thinking about the transition is linked to something that we saw as identity. Like for example, we were laid off from a job. A lot of times we think of our title, the company that we work for, the industry that we're in. We see that as our identity. And when that's like slipped from under you, whether it be like a layoff or you're fired or a company closes or anything along those lines, we neglect to realize how attached we are to those jobs, whether it be, again, the title, the industry, the amount of time that you put into a company or the company itself. I remember when I was at a company for 5 years and was laid off, it was a mass layoff. It was about thousands and thousands of people that were laid off on that same day. I didn't realize how much weight I put on the company that I was working for and how much identity I actually put into that. And when we're ready to really face that and say, well, I really am attaching this company or attaching this title or attaching this thing or this person to my identity. And once that's gone, then what do I do? It's a hard pill to swallow. It's a hard transition. I get that. But the more that we become aware of that attachment, the more we're able to purge and let that thing go, right? Also, letting go of comparisons, letting go of what could have happened or what should have happened, letting go of where you should be or where you shouldn't be. Even when thinking about career, thinking about how far you have come in a career, transitioning out of that career could be daunting or a lot of fear can come up with those types of things. So thinking about all of those aspects and allowing yourself to go through the process of letting go. The process of letting go could look like grief. Some people think we just have to grieve, we just grieve people. No, we grieve situations, we grieve people that are still here, we grieve relationships, we grieve environments, we grieve many things. And sometimes there's a process of you having to grieve those things in order to let those things go. Um, Remembering as you're going through this practicing of acceptance that self-compassion is a big part of it. Don't beat yourself up about it, y'all. Don't beat yourself up about it. Allow yourself to go through the process. It's not going to happen overnight. You're not going to accept it in an hour or 2 hours or even 2 weeks. It may take some time. So be compassionate, but allowing yourself to go through that process of acceptance and getting to acceptance. So I hope number one was helpful. Let me know in the comments how this is resonating with you. Monique, also thinking of the people affected by the transition was tough for me. Yeah, absolutely. Thinking about who's connected to it, thinking about what other people are going to say when you're going through that transition. And then also even thinking about, again, comparison. Sometimes we give pushback to transitions because we're comparing ourselves to other people that have been in that same situation. And whether their outcome was good or bad, we allow ourselves to compare ourselves to that. Oh, I remember when such and such went through this and it didn't go too well, and now I gotta go through it. And da, 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 da. So it's comparison on the negative side. Or it could be on the positive side where it's like, oh, such and such went through this and they did great, but they got there after 6 months. It's taken me 10 months, maybe a year to get there. So there's comparisons on either side. So absolutely, Monique, that's a good point. Awesome. Point number 2, which is a big part of this, especially even when thinking about acceptance, which is keeping your perspective and your mindset in check. A lot of times we struggle with transitions because we have a really tough time with shifting our mindset and our perspective. And one thing we have to understand about perspectives and mindsets is that it's intentional. You have to be intentional about it. It's not going to be something that's going to just happen overnight or happen without any effort. You have to be intentional about your perspective and about your mindset. So your initial thought in transitions is that we have lost or failed in some sort, right? When it comes to you moving in a different direction or pivoting, it's always sometimes, well, not always, but I would say most of the time your thought process is like, I'm losing something or I failed at something, right? And when it comes to that, we allow that instant replay to happen over and over and over again. Oh my gosh, I lost, I failed, I failed. And instead of allowing ourselves to go down that road, finding ways to shift our mindset and to shift our perspective quickly. Quickly is the important aspect of it, because I think a lot of times, or most of the times, we'll get there eventually. But sometimes you add a whole lot more of stress when you prolong that. So as soon as you find yourself in that transition, whenever you can, try to find a silver lining. Try to look at things half full instead of half empty. Try to find ways to shift your mindset and your perspective quickly. The faster that you're able to do it, I hate saying easy, but the easier it will allow you to transition, and even the easier it will allow you to get to acceptance because of the fact that you're shifting your perspective early in the game versus later in the game. Okay? So keep that all in mind. And just to kind of talk about the difference between perspective and mindset. Your mindset, or shifting your mindset, is your attitude, right? Your attitude towards a certain situation, person, or thing. Your perspective is your interpretation of that situation, person, or thing, right? So I can shift my mindset by shifting my attitude, but I can shift my perspective by finding other ways to interpret what's happening, right? So perspective is situational. Mindset is foundational. How do I foundationally think about this thing? What is my attitude towards this thing? But on this specific situation, how can I shift my interpretation or what I'm seeing? A lot of times we rely on what we see versus what actually is, and those don't always equate to the same thing. So keeping that in mind. Also, when thinking about perspective, is shifting our thought process from uncertainty to opportunity, right? Yes, this is uncertain, but it's also an opportunity of autonomy and flexibility, right? This is a time where I'm able to just kind of morph and change and adjust and grow into something better, into a better version of myself. This is a way that I can actually promote growth versus it being just uncertainty. So a lot of times we focus on the uncertainty of that thing versus the opportunity of that thing, right? So, for instance, I'm currently in the middle of transitioning into a different or a new career. I worked in recruiting for the past 7 years, right? And I do this on the side, but because of the way that market is going, I decided to like dive all the way into counseling. So I'm currently in grad school. I am going for my master's in counseling to become a licensed therapist. I'm halfway almost there, almost at internships. But with that transition, it's something totally different. It's a totally different mindset. My thought process is like, dang, intern. I've been a senior recruiter for all this time. Now I'm down to intern. Those are the things that we think about, right? Like, oh, I'm starting over, or oh, I failed, or oh, I have to just start from the beginning after I worked so hard in this industry. Now I'm shifting to a different industry and I have to start all over again. And to be honest, that initially was my thought process. Like, dang, like I don't want to like going back to school. I done graduated already, y'all. Okay, I done graduated in 2009. Told myself I will never ever go back to school. Here I am in a master's program. Okay, but my thought process in the beginning was, I go back to school. I haven't been in school in years. Like I have to go back through all these classes. I'm back to APA format and writing papers and taking tests and all of this stuff, right? So going from being a senior in the role that I was before and now going down to student and intern, that was frustrating for me. But thinking about, instead of taking into the starting over and the uncertainty and the frustration of that, and shifting my mindset to this is an opportunity. This is an opportunity of autonomy and flexibility. This is an opportunity for me to grow in myself personally, not just personally, but and grow and enhance the people around me. A lot of the information I learned in school, I come back and bring it to y'all, right? So it's like, even with that, it's like it's helping the people around me, it's helping me. So why not dive into it, right? Now, why not embrace it? Okay. So keeping that all in mind. That was a lot. That was number 2 for perspective and mindset. Number 3 is remain present in the process. Again, this goes back to being intentional, okay? So be intentional with the process and your emotions surrounding it. So not just being intentional about the process, but also, even though we're shifting mindsets and shifting our perspective, your emotions are still there. Your emotions are still valid. Your emotions are still going to affect you. So being present with the process, but also being present with your emotions surrounding the process. That's important. Allowing your emotions to be there, giving them a name without over identifying yourself to that emotion. Let me explain what that means. So instead of saying, oh my gosh, I'm just so sad, or I'm just so depressed about this situation, shifting your mindset to say, I'm experiencing sadness right now. It will pass. I'm experiencing anger right now, but it's going to be okay. I'm experiencing frustration right now, but all things are working together for the better, right? Shifting how you're, noticing and then allowing yourself to have those emotions, but not over identifying and attaching ourselves to those emotions to where it spirals and turns into depression, or turns into burnout, or turns into anxiety, or turns into all of these other unhealthy feelings that we're having. Allowing, if you gotta cry, let it out. Go ahead and cry. Crying is a release, right? Crying is a way of taking all of those emotions that are stored up in the body and releasing them and letting them go. So if that's what you have to do, then that's what you have to do, right? So again, allowing yourself to feel, name the emotions that you're experiencing, but don't over identify with it. Because if you do, that's what makes the transitions more difficult. That's what makes the transitions more frustrating and confusing. And even, sometimes these transitions can be enjoyable. I'm enjoying school. I'm enjoying learning. I'm enjoying all of these different things. And even though I know it's a process and it's not favorable for me, it's something that I can sit and enjoy, right? So finding ways to enjoy the process, being intentional with the process, but allowing yourself, not forgetting about the emotions and allowing yourself to feel those, but don't over identify, because that's when we get all discombobulated. And then lastly, lean on your support system, right? Reach out for support and set boundaries where needed. Know your limits, okay? As you're transitioning, know who you need to confide in and who you need to speak to. Know who will be there for you and have your best interest at heart when you're transitioning. Be very careful with who you're sharing your transitions with, depending on what the transitions are. Um, Set boundaries with that. There's nothing wrong with that. And in addition to leaning on your support system, I hate to say this last, but confiding in prayer, confiding in anything that you, when it comes to a higher power that you identify with, like dive into that stuff. All of those things will help you within the transition. We all need support and help. Don't be afraid to ask for support. Don't be afraid to ask for help. I just say, when thinking about asking for help, know who to ask for help from. Don't be desperate about who you're asking for help from, because a lot of times when we ask for help in desperation, that's what makes the transitions more difficult, because their response is probably going to be wild. They're going to try to take advantage of the situation or make something about them or whatever. So be intentional with who you're asking for support from. And even support could just literally mean going to therapy. There's so many different ways of asking for support without it being detrimental to the transition, right? And I can't say this enough, but boundaries are important. But I'm not even talking about boundaries with other people. That's there, but I'm talking more so about your own personal boundaries. Don't surpass your limits. Don't overcommit yourself. Don't overexert yourself. Pace yourself. Go at the pace that works for you. Don't look over the fence to see what other people are doing. The only competition you have is the competition within yourself. And I think with those boundaries is more so of that. Setting your limits, knowing your limits, and not allowing what you see other people doing to change or adjust your boundaries or limits. Okay? I hope this was helpful, y'all. I really do. The points were there's 4 points: practicing acceptance, keep your perspective and mindset in check, remain present in the process, and lean on your support system were the 4 points in managing mindful life transitions. Okay, so we're going to go into affirmations, y'all. When you start your hours practicing, is this Nakia? I think maybe she was trying to type it all out. But yes, if you're talking about my internship hours, I start in fall of 2025. Well, practicum and then internship. So yes, I will. It depends on what location I am placed at, but I definitely will open it. And then I don't know the limitations yet of state, because I wouldn't be certified yet. So at that point, I'll be able to like get more information to you guys, so that way I know what states I'm able to service. Because even when because I know I will be doing some virtual, um with that I know there's limitations in state even if I'm virtual. So TBD on that. I will let you guys know though. I'll keep you updated. But yeah, I do my practicum starting in fall of 2025. And then that's for 3 months. And then I do my internship right after that. That's another 3 months. And then I'll be done with my program in 2027. So, well, actually, really it will be the end of 2026 going into winter of, or that first 3 months of 2027. So yeah, I'm excited. I'll keep y'all updated. Okay. So when it comes to affirmations, I have 8. Went a little over, y'all, but I have 8. But I wanted to make sure I shared as many. So feel free to use the affirmations however you wish to. If you want to write them down in your journal, if you want to change the language, please do. This is just a template. If you want to put them on sticky notes, if you want to, some people like to record themselves saying affirmations, and that's what they listen to in the mornings. However you want to use it, please use it. Change the language if it makes sense. If it doesn't resonate, don't write it down. This is not, this ain't school. Feel free to use them however you wish to, but I hope they're a blessing. I hope they're helpful. And let's dive in, shall we? Where are we at? What time? Okay, we're at 26 minutes. Okay. Number 1, my first reactions are not my only option. I have the power to shift my mindset. My first reactions are not my only option. I have the power to shift my mindset. I'll say that one more time. My first reactions are not my only option. I have the power to shift my mindset. So that's just more so of just understanding that just because our reactions are what they are, it doesn't mean we have to act on them. Same with our thoughts, just our thoughts in general. Not all of our thoughts are true. Not all of our thoughts are valid. And it's up to us to weed out what's true and what's not true. Same with our reactions. All of our reactions are not the truth of what we see, right? And sometimes it takes some time to filter through our own logic and understanding to make a final decision on how we want to react to things. So just keep that in mind. Your first reactions are not your only option. There are other options, and it's up to you to shift and really think through the full picture. Number 2, what seems like an obstacle, can't talk today, y'all. What seems like an obstacle may be a disguised reinvention. What seems like an obstacle may be a disguised reinvention. I'll say that one last time. What seems like an obstacle may be a disguised reinvention. Okay? Sometimes we think that we have these transitions and we see them as issues, right? Or problems. And again, when we're thinking about when we look at something and see something, based off of what we see, it may look a certain way. But when we zoom out and look at it from another point of view, whether it be just a wider point of view or just from different angles, we'll be able to see that, oh, no, this is my reinvention. This is my pivot. This is my opportunity of growth. This is my opportunity to be a better version of myself. And so that's what we want to take into consideration when thinking about these mindful or life transitions. So what seems like an obstacle may be a disguised reinvention. Hey, Mommy Mogul Media, how are you? Okay, so that's number 2. Number 3. Hi, Patrick. Why is that? What you need to know that for? Yeah, shout out to the live Mommy Mogul. Thank you. Okay, where were we at? Number 3. If I shift my focus, I shift my reality. I am adaptable. If I shift my focus, I shift my reality. I am adaptable. One last time. If I shift my focus, I shift my reality. I am adaptable. So understanding that shifting the focus can change everything, right? Shifting the perspective can change everything. Once you're able to look at something in a different way, it changes how you think about it. It changes your approach. It changes what you focus on. It changes your actions. It changes a lot of things. So understanding that once you're able to shift your focus to what matters, then you're able to shift your reality. And then it brings an understanding of how adaptable and resilient you are. Okay? So I shift my focus. I shift my reality. I am adaptable. Number 4, every viewpoint I consider expands my wisdom. Every viewpoint I consider expands my wisdom. I'll say that one last time. Every viewpoint I consider expands my wisdom. So understanding that the more that you're able to shift, the more perspectives, the more viewpoints that you can look at and see on a one situation makes you wiser in handling it. Sometimes if we're just looking at something in one direction, we're only seeing this one angle. Have you ever seen like those sculptures, like where you look at one angle, it looks like one thing, and then you shift and you move and you go to the other side and it looks like something else, and then you go to the other side and it looks like something else, and it gives you more of a 3D visual of what you're actually looking at. The same when we're thinking about our situations and our transitions. As you're transitioning, if you look at it in different angles, different perspectives, different ways, from different eyes to eyes, from different viewpoints, put yourself in someone else's shoes, thinking about it in all of these different ways, that gives you more of a well-rounded idea of what you're dealing with, and then it allows you to approach it and react to it in a way that is more conducive to what is actually happening, versus you just seeing it one way. You think it's a house, and you're running towards the house, and then you shift and then you look and I was like, oh, that was a paper plate, child. I'm running towards a house thinking it's a house, it's a paper plate. Right? I know that's silly, but but it's just a way of kind of thinking through it, just thinking about all of the angles, all of the ways, thinking outside of the box before actually making a decision on how you want to approach it, how do you want to address it, or even just how you want to think about it. Okay? So keeping that all in mind. That was number 4. Got 4 more here. Number 5, discomfort is the bridge between who I was and who I am becoming. Discomfort is the bridge between who I was and who I am becoming. Discomfort is the bridge between who I was and who I am becoming. As something grows, there is some form of discomfort, right? When you think about just as we grew physically, there was growing pains, right? Nakia, do you have an email address? I am the executive editor for Event Therapy Magazine, and we're looking for writers and features. Oh yeah, sure. You can always go. There's several different ways. So my email address is info at Haven Inspired, which is what you see on the YouTube. So info at haveninspired.com. That's my direct email address. But you also, if you need to go to the website too, you can always go to the website and subscribe, and it will come to my email address. Or I think my email address is also listed there. So if you need to go back to that, you can do that too. But thank you so much. I appreciate you. Where was I at? 5. Discomfort is the bridge between who I was and who I am becoming, right? So when it comes to discomfort, you're going to experience some type of discomfort when you're going through a process of growth. Okay? So when you're going through that process of growth, that discomfort has to become comfortable. Sometimes we get stuck in our ways because we just are comfortable. And sometimes we have grown up in a certain way where our dysfunction and our trauma becomes comfortable because that's all we know. And in order for us to heal and in order for us to grow and for us to get better, we have to be a little bit uncomfortable. So getting more comfortable with discomfort is important because that's the bridge between healing. That's the bridge to healing. That's the bridge to growth. That's the bridge to getting better. There's going to be some level of discomfort, and being okay with that, and being okay with looking like you uncomfortable. I think a lot of times we think that we don't want to do things because, oh, I don't want to look a certain way, or I don't want people to think I'm this, or I don't want people to think I'm that. That whole level of, or that whole idea of embarrassment, right? Especially with transitions, oh, well, you were a senior at your company, now you an intern, like what happened? You know what I mean? Like, just thinking about those little nitpicky things is what stops us from growth and what stops us from the discomfort. So I always say this, a lot of people don't like this, but I always say this: dive into that discomfort. Dive and push yourself, force yourself into that discomfort. Because the more that you find yourself uncomfortable and you push yourself into it and you keep doing it, it then becomes comfortable. The only time that you realize that you're going to be that you're comfortable is when you pass through the discomfort, right? So if you continue to push through that discomfort, then it will eventually become comfortable. And sometimes it won't. Listen, I still don't like public speaking. Y'all see me? It's comfortable. I still don't, it's a little uncomfortable, but like now, but before I hated it. I was like, no, I'm not going to be on nobody's YouTube. I'm not going to be on anybody's stage. I'm not going to be on anybody's screen. I'm not going to be teaching nobody's workshops. And look at me, teaching workshops to corporate places. I'm on stages. Okay. So listen, just because something is uncomfortable doesn't mean that it can't become comfortable. And even if it does become something in your normalcy of what you're doing, doesn't mean that that discomfort won't come back up. It's okay. Feel the fear, but do it anyway. All right. That was long for one affirmation, but I kind of got on a soapbox. My bad. Number 6. Growth is not about perfection. It is about exploration and resilience. Growth is not about perfection. It is about exploration and resilience. One last time, growth is not about perfection. It is about exploration and resilience. So understanding that a lot of times transitions are hard because we want everything to be perfect. We want everything and everyone around us to be so perfect. And nothing is perfect, y'all. Nothing. Not us. There's nothing in this world that is perfect. So understanding that growth is not about that. It's not about being perfect. It's not even about this perfect ideal of what you should or shouldn't be, right? It's more so of progress. Am I making progress? Am I better than I was yesterday? Am I better than I was last year? Am I better than I was 5 years ago? That's what's most important. That's what's practical. That's what's realistic. And that's what's tangible, because we're trying to make these perfect pieces or these perfect ideas of ourselves reality, when in actuality, those perfections will never be. And if it is, it will be there for a short period of time. And then eventually something may happen or something may shift, or, things happen. There's no way to really have some form of perfection. So understanding that growth isn't about that. It's about exploration. It's about resilience. It's about curiosity. It's about excitement and creativity. That's what it's about. It's not about perfection. That was number 6. Number 7, I trust the rhythm of my life even when the tempo changes. I trust the rhythm of my life even when the tempo changes. I trust the rhythm of my life even when the tempo changes. Hey, those are the best songs. You know what I'm saying? Like when you have a song that starts out one way and then it speeds up and then it slows down and then it speeds up. I think of what's that song by Busta Rhymes? I know I'm showing my age. I forget that song. I can't even think of it now. But it's a song by Busta Rhymes where it speeds up and it slows down. It speeds up and slows down. It's one of the best songs ever. And I'm like, that's the best, when you're able to see a rhythm and it change and then it shifts back, or it changes and it doesn't turn back. That's the same with life. Life is going to go on a rhythm. It's going to go on a pace, and then it may speed up, it may slow down, it may stop, it may you know, stop and then go. It may go and then stop. It may hit on the brakes. It may slow down. There's so many different ways that life can go. And just because the tempo changes, doesn't mean the song is worse. Doesn't mean the song has just got better. You know what I mean? Like, it's just a matter of, this is the way that the song is going. The tempo sped up. It's a little fast. It's stressing me out. But eventually it might slow down. Oh, there it goes. It didn't slow down. All right, now we leveling out. So keep that in mind. I trust the rhythm of my life, even when the tempo changes. Okay? Touch It. Yes. Yes, that's the song. Go listen to it now. Now it all kind of come together. I wish I could play it, but then I'm probably going to get, you know, lose my monetization. Okay, whoo, child. That was number 7. Number 8. I release resistance and permit myself to grieve and grow. I release resistance and permit myself to grieve and grow. I release resistance and permit myself to grieve and grow. So releasing the resistance, that's acceptance, right? We said that at the top. Release that resistance so that way you can permit yourself, give yourself permission to grieve. Give yourself permission to grieve situations, people, whatever you need to grieve. And they're even looking at the 7 stages of grief and understanding that that's an actual process, right? And as you think through that, that happens in a lot of situations, not with just grieving people. So allowing yourself to go through that process so that way you can grow. There's growth on the other end of grief, regardless of what kind of grief you're experiencing. There's growth on the other side of that grief. So release the resistance to the transition and give yourself permission to grieve so you can grow. Okay? I hope this was helpful, y'all. I'll go back to the top really quick. I'll go back to the top really quick for the affirmations. The first one was, my first reactions are not my only option. I have the power to shift my mindset. Number 2, what seems like an obstacle may be a disguised reinvention. Number 3, if I shift my focus, I shift my reality. I am adaptable. Every viewpoint, this number 4, every viewpoint I consider expands my wisdom. Number 5, discomfort is the bridge between who I was and who I am becoming. Number 6, growth is not about perfection. It is about exploration, resilience. And then 7 is, I trust the rhythm of my life even when the tempo changes. And 8, I release resistance and permit myself to grieve and grow. I hope this was a blessing, y'all. We do this every Monday at 8 p.m. Central Standard Time. A lot of people voted on mental check-in on the poll, so we can do that probably next week. If not, there'll most likely be another poll on Saturday. You will be getting new meditations tomorrow-esque Wednesday. I'll say Wednesday. I'm hoping tomorrow, but we'll say Wednesday to be safe. And make sure I'm not missing anything. And if you want to make sure that you get updates on the lives as well as our mindfulness newsletter, that goes out every Wednesday. Go to the website, haveninspired.com. Go ahead and subscribe. And then that way you'll be set up to get the newsletter every week, especially if you end up missing a live. It will have all of the links for everything in there. I think that was it, y'all. Oh, check out my book. My book, Not Self, Let Me Be Great. If you are struggling with self-doubt, it's a self-doubt inspiration and workbook, which I think, do I have one? Yes. Yes, I do. Yes, I do. Not Self, Let Me Be Great. You can grab it off of Amazon. If you type in Not Self in Amazon, it should pop up. But it is a inspiration and workbook for self-doubt. It has affirmations in there and workbook questions and journaling questions. And then it talks about my life, my story, and how I've come to where I am. And so go ahead and check that out. You can get that again on Amazon. There's a link that's going to be attached to this video, as well as a link on the website. But I hope this was helpful, y'all. Y'all all have a great rest of your night, and look out for meditations this week. I will talk to y'all later. Bye. Thank you. You're welcome, Monique.